Тому, будь ласка, всіх просимо здобувачку також включити камери. Олена Антонівна, Ірина Сергіївна, ще чекаємо Олену Антонівну.
О, отбой тривоги.
О,
прекрасно.
Супер.
Да.
Олену Антонівну також попросимо включити камеру. Ви нас чуєте, Олена Антонівна?
Вона триває ще.
Зараз я позвоню.
Дякую.
Вона може без звука бути, ну скажу.
Київський новий скорімо. Ще є. Шановні колеги, доброго дня. Сьогодні у зв'язку із безпековою ситуацією, з повітряною тривогою через ракетну небезпеку і атаку на регіони України, наше засідання ми починаємо трошки з затримкою через те, що ми повинні були знайти час і перейти в більш безпечне місце. Тепер ми можемо розпочинати. Сьогодні у нас 16 червня 2023 року, 12 година 18 хвилин. Дозвольте розпочати засідання. Відповідно до рішення Вченої ради Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка від 24.04.2023 Шановні колеги, ще раз перепрошую для запису. Сьогодні, 16 червня 2023 року, 12 година 19 хвилин. Затримка була пов'язана із безпековою ситуацією, через яку ми вимушені були перейти в більш безпечне місце. Зараз ми можемо розпочинати. Відповідно до рішення Вченої ради Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка від 24.04.2023 року, протокол номер 5 та наказу ректора від 24.04.2023 року номер 58 ВС у Національному університеті Чернігівська політехніка для прийняття до розгляду та проведення разового захисту дисертації Плота Сандри на тему «Розвиток організаційної культури в системі підвищення якості вищої освіти» англійським варіантом було затверджено «Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement» на здобуття ступеня доктора філософії в галузі знань 05 соціальні та поведінкові науки за спеціальністю 051 економіка, утворено спеціалізовану вчену раду ДФ1 2023 у наступному складі. Головуючи на засіданні доктор економічних наук, професор Холяпко Наталія Іванівна, це я, професор кафедри фінансів, банківської справи та страхування Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка. Рецензенти, доктор економічних наук, професор Ткаленко Наталія Валеріївна, директор навчально-наукового інституту менеджменту, харчових технологій та торгівлі Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка.
Доброго дня, колеги.
Доктор економічних наук, доцент Попело Ольга Володимирівна, професор кафедри менеджменту та державної служби Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка.
Доброго дня.
Опоненти, доктор економічних наук, професор Грішнова Олена Антонівна, професор кафедри економіки підприємства Київського національного університету імені Тараса Шевченка.
Добрий день.
І доктор економічних наук, професор Калинюк Ірина Сергіївна, директор науково-дослідного інституту економічного розвитку Київського національного економічного університету імені Вадима Гетьмана.
Доброго дня.
Дякуємо всім, що знайшли можливість і погодились взяти участь в роботі сьогоднішнього засідання спеціалізованої вченої ради. Усі посади вказано на момент захисту. Шановні колеги, оскільки захист буде відбуватися англійською мовою, то певні моменти я буду озвучувати двома мовами. Today is June the 16th, 2023, 12 o'clock and 19 minutes. In accordance with the decision of the Academic Council of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, dated April the 24th, 2023, minutes number 5, and the Rector's Order dated April the 24th, 2023, number 58 VS, at Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, for acceptance, for consideration, and defense of the dissertation of Plota Sandra on the topic Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement for obtaining the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 05, Social and Behavioral Sciences, the specialty 05 Pan Economics, a specialized academic council, dear Pan 2023, has been formed in the following composition. Chairman of the meeting, Doctor of Economics, Professor Natalia Ivanivna Khalyavka, Professor of Finance, Banking and Insurance Department of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, present. Reviewers, Doctor of Economics, Professor Natalia Valerievna Tkalenko, Director of the Educational and Scientific Institute of Management, Food Technologies and Trade of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, present. Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor Olga Volodymyrivna Popello, Professor of the Department of Management and Civil Service of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, present. Opponents, Doctor of Economics, Professor Olena Antonivna Grishnova, Professor of the Department of Enterprise Economics of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv, present. Doctor of Economics, Professor Irina Sergeyevna Kalenyuk, Director of the Research Institute of Economic Development of Kyiv National Economic University named after Vadim Hetman. Present. All positions are indicated at the time of the defense. Шановні рецензенти та опоненти, прошу зареєструватися. Присутні онлайн, будь ласка, через чат. Дякую. Отже, на підставі реєстраційної картки присутні 5 членів спеціалізованої вченої ради із 5 затверджених наказом ректора від 24.04.2023 року номер 58 ВС. Кворум необхідний для засідання є, ми маємо всі офіційні підстави для того, щоб його розпочати. Засідання спеціалізованої вченої ради ДФ-1-2023 оголошую відкритим. Сьогодні на порядку денному захист дисертації на здобуття ступеня доктора філософії, аспірантки кафедри економіки, обліку і оподаткування Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка Плота Сандри на тему «Розвиток організаційної культури в системі підвищення якості вищої освіти». В англійському варіанті це звучить «Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement». За спеціальністю 051 економіка. Роботу виконано в Національному університеті Чернігівська політехніка. Науковий керівник, доктор економічних наук, професор Вікторія Геннадіївна Маргасова. Зі здобувачем погоджено, що захист дисертації буде проводитись англійською мовою. Усі члени разової спеціалізованої вченої ради ДФ-1-2023 володіють мовою захисту дисертацій в обсязі достатньому для кваліфікованого проведення атестації здобувача, що підтверджується відповідними сертифікатами. До спеціалізованої вченої ради надійшли такі документи. Заява щодо проведення атестації здобувача, копія паспорта ID громадянина Латвійської Республіки, копія диплому магістра, витяг з наказу про зарахування до аспірантури, засвідченої у встановленому порядку, академічна довідка про виконання відповідної освітньо-наукової програми, висновок наукового керівника, доктора економічних наук професора Маргасової Вікторії Геннадіївни, висновок про наукову новизну, теоретичну та практичне значення результатів дисертації, дисертація в друкованому та електронному виглядах, відбитки копій наукових публікацій, зарахованих за темою дисертації, засвідчені у встановленому порядку. Усі документи відповідають встановленим вимогам, дисертація до захисту подається вперше. Шановні члени спеціалізованої вченої ради, прошу голосувати. Хто за такий порядок денний? Хто проти? Немає. Утримались? Немає. Пропозиція приймається одноголосно. Dear colleagues, let me translate it into English. The reviewers and opponents have registered in the special card. So, based on the registration card, 5 members of the Specialized Academic Council are present. It is 5 members of 5 approved ones by Director's Order number 58 VS dated 24th of April 2023. The quorum required for the meeting is present, and we have all official grounds to start the meeting. So I declare the meeting of the Specialized Academic Council ZFAN 2023 open. Today's agenda: dissertation defense for obtaining the degree of Doctor of Philosophy by Ploti Sandra, a PhD student of the Department of Economics, Accounting and Taxation of the Trinity Polytechnic National University on the topic Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement in the Specialty 051 Economics. The dissertation was completed at the Trinity Polytechnic National University. Scientific Supervisor, Doctor of Economics, Professor Victoria Margasova. It is agreed with the PhD student that their defense of the dissertation will be conducted in English. All members of the Specialized Academic Council DFAN 2023 know the language of the dissertation defense in the level sufficient for the qualified attestation of the applicant, which is confirmed by the relevant certificates. The following documents have been received by the Specialized Academic Council: statement regarding the attestation of the applicant, a copy of passport ID of a citizen of Republic of Latvia, a copy of the master's degree diploma, an extract from the order on admission postgraduate studies certified in the prescribed manner, academic certificate on completion of the relevant educational and scientific program, conclusion of the scientific supervisor, Doctor of Economics, Professor Victoria Margasova, conclusion on the scientific novelty, theoretical and practical significance of the results of the dissertation, dissertation in printed and electronic forms, copies of scientific publications relevant to the dissertation topic certified in the prescribed manner. All documents meet their established requirements. The dissertation is submitted for the defense for the first time. All members of the Specialized Academic Council voted in favor for the proposed agenda. The proposal is accepted unanimously. Шановні колеги, дозвольте зачитати біографічні дані. Плоти Сандра народилася 3 лютого 1960 року у місті Єлгава, громадянка Латвійської Республіки. У 2004 році закінчила Латвійський університет за спеціальністю педагогіка. Із жовтня 2022 року навчається в аспірантурі за заочною формою здобуття вищої освіти у Національному університеті Чернігівська політехніка Міністерства освіти і науки України за спеціальністю 051 економіка. За період навчання підготувала дисертаційне дослідження на здобуття ступеня доктора філософії за спеціальністю 051 економіка. Тема дисертації затверджена кафедрою бізнес-адміністрування Університету прикладних наук ІСМА, протокол номер 0322 від 27 вересня 2022 року та уточнена 28 листопада 2022 року на засіданні вченої ради Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка, протокол номер 8. Плоти Сандра повністю виконала індивідуальний навчальний план відповідно до освітньо-наукової програми аспірантури обсягом 60 кредитів ЄКТС, що повністю відповідає порядку підготовки здобувачів вищої освіти ступеня доктора філософії в закладах вищої освіти або наукових установах. У листопаді 2022 року відбулася публічна презентація дисертаційного дослідження на кафедрі економіки, обліку і оподаткування за спеціальністю 051 економіка, де дисертацію було рекомендовано до розгляду та захисту у разовій спеціалізованій вченій раді. Основні положення та отримані наукові результати дисертаційної роботи висвітлено у 10 наукових праць. З них 2 статті у виданнях, що входять до наукометричної бази Scopus, 2 статті у фахових журналах України, 3 статті у зарубіжних спеціалізованих виданнях, 3 публікації у матеріалах наукових конференцій. Наукові публікації відповідають пунктам 8-9 порядку присудження ступеня доктора філософії та скасування рішення разової спеціалізованої вченої ради закладу вищої освіти, наукової установи про присудження ступеня доктора філософії. Постанова Кабінету міністрів України від 12 січня 2022 року номер 44. Дисертація відповідає вимогам наказу Міністерства освіти і науки України номер 40 від 12 січня 2017 року про затвердження вимог до оформлення дисертації і порядку присудження ступеня доктора філософії та скасування рішення разової спеціалізованої вченої ради закладу вищої освіти, наукової установи про присудження ступеня доктора філософії. Постанова Кабінету міністрів України від 12.01.2022 року номер 44. Шановні члени спеціалізованої вченої ради, чи є запитання? Дякую, немає. Just a few minutes to translate it in English briefly. Ploti Sandra was born on February 3rd, 1960 in the city of Jelgava, a citizen of the Republic of Latvia. In 2004, she graduated from the University of Latvia with a degree in pedagogy. From October 2022, she has been studying part-time postgraduate studies at the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, specialty 051 Economics. During the period of study, she has prepared a dissertation for obtaining the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 051 Economics. The topic of the dissertation is approved by Business Administration Department of ISMA University of Applied Sciences, minutes number 03/2022, dated September the 27th, 2022, and clarified on November the 28th, 2022, at the meeting of the Academic Council of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, minutes number 8. Ploti Sandra has fully completed an individual study plan in accordance with the educational and scientific program of the postgraduate course in the amount of 60 ECTS credits, which fully corresponds to the procedure for the preparation of applicants for higher education for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy at Doctor of Science in higher educational institutions, scientific institutions. In November 2022, a public presentation of the dissertation research was held at the Department of Economics and Accounting and Taxation in the specialty 051. Economics. There, the dissertation was recommended for consideration and defense in a one-time specialized academic council. The main provisions and obtained scientific results of the dissertation are covered in 10 scientific papers, of which 2 articles are in publications included in the Scopus Scientific database, 2 articles are in specialized journals of Ukraine, 3 articles are in foreign specialized journals, and 3 publications are in proceedings of scientific conferences. Scientific publications meet the requirements of clauses 8-9 of the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and canceling the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of the higher education institution, scientific institution, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, degree of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated January 12, 2022, number 44. The dissertation complies with the requirements of the order of the Minister of Education and Science of Ukraine, number 40, dated 12th of January 2017, on approval of the requirements for the preparation of the dissertation and procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and canceling the decision of the one-time specialized academic council of the higher education institution, scientific institution, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, degree of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated January 12th, 2022, number 44. Попередньо зі здобувачем погоджено, що захист дисертації буде проводитися англійською мовою, і наразі ми можемо надати слово здобувачці для викладення основних результатів досліджень. It has been previously agreed with the PhD student that the defense of the dissertation will be conducted in English. So now we give the floor to a PhD student, Ploti Sandra, to present the main results of the dissertation research. Ploti Sandra, you have 20 minutes to present your research result. The floor is yours.
Дякую.
We can see your screen.
Oh, thank you very much. Доброго дня, шановні члени спеціалізованої вченої ради. Доповідати, з вашого дозволу, буду англійською мовою. Today, I would like to present you the dissertation on the topic Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement. Increasing the competitiveness of higher education system in the context of the formation of the knowledge economy and a significant level of instability in external environment, increasing the impact of various threats and reducing financial resources due to the socio-economic crisis can be achieved through the development of organizational culture of educational institutions, which in modern conditions is an important factor in their sustainable development in long term. An important part of the policy of educational institutions, which is reflected in their development strategies and plans. Many new problems arise for higher education system under the influence of new challenges, the most important of which are globalization, digitalization, the war in Ukraine, the global pandemic, the socio-economic crisis, and migration processes as well. The growing role of organizational culture in the activities of educational institutions is also associated with the trends in the socialization of the economy, the increasing role of corporate values and principles that have been formed over many years of activity in the educational services market. The relevance of the dissertation topic is due to the fact that an effective organizational culture is an important element of a competitive higher education system, since in the context of the socio-economic crisis, a higher level of instability and uncertainty about the future. It is organizational values and norms that can become the basis for increasing employees' involvement, increasing efficiency of work of educational institutions in the conditions of regular and remote employment. According to increasing the part of remote work, organizational values and culture have partially turned to digital, and as a result, new tools for organizing work in virtual teams, as well as modern forms of team building have become necessary. The need to improve existing and develop new conceptual approaches to managing the development of organizational culture and improving the quality of education in the face of modern challenges led to the choice of the topic of the dissertation, its goals and objectives. The purpose of the research is to develop the theoretical and methodological foundations for the study of organizational culture in the field of education and develop modern tools for managing the development of organizational culture in the system of higher education quality improvement. The object of the research is processes of development of the organizational culture of educational institutions for the highest education quality improvement. The subject of the research is the theoretical, methodological, and practical foundations for the development of organization culture in the system of improving the higher education quality. For goals achievement, the list of tasks have been created and solved. The following main scientific results were obtained in the work. The classification of approaches to the essence of organizational culture in modern conditions has been developed based on value-oriented, element-oriented, result-oriented, essence-oriented, and personal-oriented concepts. Based on these approaches, the definition of organizational culture is the basic element of the internal environment of the organization, which is based on the activation of a person's potential, increasing his ability to work, increasing the efficiency of his interaction in a team, to achieve the target result of the organization's activities and increase its level of development, which together reflects the essence and nature of the organization itself. The dissertation develops theoretical approaches to the definition of specific functions that are characteristic of modern realities and form under the influence of the formation of the knowledge economy, digitalization of the economy, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the war in Ukraine. As a result, the following functions were presented in the dissertation: educational function, the transformational function, the function of the source of identity, and stabilizing function. A model for the formation of human capital in the system of interaction with the organizational culture of an educational institution is proposed, the functioning of which is determined through a system of actions of situational and individual components, organizational culture tools, motivational, communication, and management factors. The key points of the improved model are the aims of the educational institution, organizational values, norms of behavior, traditions, regulations, and standards. The system of influence on human capital is formed from personal, cognitive, axiological, communicative, motivational, and effective behavioral components, which are characterized by special elements and relationships. The development theoretical and methodological approach for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions combines the following stages. First, development of a system of indicators for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions, taking into account their characteristics as objects of evaluation. Second, relationing of indicators. Third, determination of indexes for each of the three blocks of indicators and the integral index for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions. Fourth, visualization of the results of evaluating of the organizational culture of educational institutions. Fifth, description of the organizational culture of the educational institutions using qualitative and quantitative methods. Sixth, identification of reserves for the development of organizational culture to improve the quality of higher education and development of recommendations for their implementation in today's difficult socio-economic conditions. The proposed approach provides for an assessment of internal and external factors that affect the level of development of organizational culture in the context of improving the quality of educational services. The system of indicators for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions is based on important dimensions of organizational culture and its elements, on analysis of information about educational institutions from open sources, and on the methods of peer review based on a clear system of evaluating criteria. For analyzing indicators of assessment the level of their organizational culture in European educational institutions, three groups of factors were identified: quality educational services, basic elements of the organizational culture, and sustainable development and adaptation to change in the external environment. Most of the assist educational institutions have a very high level of development of organizational culture. But the research identifies the reserves for the development of the organizational culture of educational institutions, which can help to improve the efficiency of their activities in the long term in the face of dynamic changes in the external environment. We have developed a scientific and methodological approaches to determining the factors affecting the activities of educational institutions in modern conditions, which allows to assess the direction and strength of their influence. The main factors were identified: the COVID-19 pandemic and other epidemic threats, Russia's aggression against Ukraine, further globalization of the educational services market, the socio-economic crisis, the intellectualization of the labor market, and the expansion of opportunities for remote employment. The strategy of anti-crisis management of educational institutions combines the following elements: development of the organizational culture of educational institutions and its adaptation to the changing external environment, creation of reserve funds of educational institutions by attracting international grants, development of educational programs to increase the internationalization of educational institutions, use and development of distance learning technologies, increasing the level of customer orientation, creation of a favorable environment for the professional and personal development of team members. Unlike the recommendations developed earlier, the advantages of the proposed strategy are that it provides for the implementation of activities that do not require significant financial resources and is focused on the use of existing resource support for educational institutions, the effective use and development of human, intellectual, and social capital, the developed scientific and applied foundations for changing organizational culture to ensure competitiveness in an innovative development of educational institutions, cover such aspects as the management of educational institutions, scientific and didactic activities, which, unlike other approaches, ensure the identification of priority areas for changes in educational institutions to improve the quality of educational services in the face of modern challenges and threats. The report is completed. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for your report. Please, dear members of the Specialized Academic Council, now you have the possibility to ask questions. And the floor is given, to the official opponent, Doctor of Economics, Professor Olena Antonivna Grishnova, Professor of the Department of Enterprise Economics of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv.
Thank you. I have two questions. Explain, please, how organization culture can influence the competitiveness of education institutions.
Дякую за запитання. Organizational culture is an effective tool for improving the competitiveness of educational institutions, the quality of educational services, and ensuring their sustainable development in the long term. Building organizational culture focused on innovation is an important task for progressive educational institutions interested in the effective formation of students' human capital by attracting additional financial resources for scientific and didactic activities.
Thank you. Satisfied? And second question, how are the opportunities for the formation of human capital in education institutions relate to the development of the organizational culture? And what positive externalities does the state and society receive from this?
Дякую за запитання. The formation of human capital of the highest quality is the mission of educational institutions, and its implementation is inextricably linked with organizational culture. The robot proposes a model for the formation of human capital in the system of interaction with organizational culture. This model provides an opportunity for a holistic vision of the organizational culture of an educational institution, helps manager to analyze existing and missing elements, connections, identify strengths and weaknesses of the organizational culture, determine what changes will contribute to its development and can be implemented in practice, and most importantly, determines the effectiveness, formation of and use of the potential of human capital, its return, and order to achieve the economic and social goals of the educational institution. Formed human capital of high quality gives an economic and social effect at all levels. On a personal level, a person works better and earns more, performs his family and civil finances better. At the level of organizations, teams become more productive, cohesive, and stable. Enterprise receive more income. At the level of society, the level of well-being, culture, and quality of life in general growing.
Lena Antonівna, are you satisfied with the answers?
Yes, satisfied completely.
Now the floor is given to the official opponent, a Doctor of Economics, Director of the Research Institute of Economic Development at Kyiv National Economic University, named after Vadim Hetman.
Dear Sandra, I have two questions also. The first question, what is the relationship between the quality of higher education and organizational culture of the university?
Дякую за запитання. Because the relationship between the quality of higher education and the organizational culture of the university is reflected in the culture of education quality. The culture of education quality as a value and collective responsibility of all participants in the educational process in higher education institutions contributes to the establishment of effective internal and external quality assurance procedures in their mutual complementary and focus on the implementation of the principles of transparency, trust, partnership, objectivity, subsidiarity, academic integrity, academic freedom, communication, collective responsibility, etc. If we consider the culture of quality as a component of organizational culture, then it can be defined as a set of collective and individual values and principles of all participants in the educational process aimed at ensuring and improving the quality of education, and also a product of number of factors: strategy, consistency, management style, national culture.
I'm satisfied. And second question. The current situation is characterized by various it's a globalization, digitalization of economy, the knowledge economy, pandemic COVID-19, and war in Ukraine. How, in your opinion, do they influence changes in the organizational culture of educational institutions?
Дякую за запитання. Based on the realities of our time, as you said, globalization, digitalization of economy, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the war in Ukraine, we studied changes in all functions of organizational culture. For example, the digitalization of the economy affects the educational function. The level of organizational culture affects the educational level in the organization, and the higher the overall educational level in organization, the greater desire of employees to improve their educational level. Thus, a high organizational culture contributes to the improvement of the human capital of educational institutions. Based on this function, an effective system of knowledge management and exchange is created. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected transformational functions through organizational culture. Changes in the content and structure of work that are necessary during a pandemic can be promoted. A stabilizing function that allows employees to maintain balance during crisis and foreign scene situations. The careless aggression of the careless aggression of Russia against Ukraine actualized corporate volunteering, the function of cohesion and a sort of identity. Organizational culture acts as source and stimulus of human values experiences, contributing to the search for agreement between the universal perspective and its personal perception and development, comparison with the factors of conscience, honor, national identity.
Thanks. I am satisfied.
Now the floor is given to the reviewer, Natalia Valerievna Tkalenko, Doctor of Economics, Professor, Director of the Educational and Scientific Institute of Management, Food Technologies and Trade of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University.
Thank you very much. Dear Sandra, I would like to ask you two questions, the same like for yours. Colleagues, first of all, you have identified areas for change in the organizational culture to ensure competitiveness and innovative development of education institute. Please describe the changes in the field of scientific activity of educational institutes that are necessary for these educational institutions.
Дякую за запитання. Changes in the field of scientific activity of educational institutions unite the following aspects. Creation of an organizational environment conducive to attracting grants from national and international organizations. A culture focused on innovation and development of scientific research, increasing the efficiency of the structural unit responsible for scientific research and publications. And for teachers, building effective cooperation with this unit, improving the processes of coordination, integration and management existing in educational institutions, as well as the culture and motivation of employees. Formation of a culture of scientific activity of educational institutions focused on innovation. The formation of a culture of scientific activity of educational institutions focused on innovation is an important condition for the development in the current conditions of a gradual reduction in public funding. An effective organizational culture in this aspect should contribute to the creation of an organizational environment conducive to attracting grants from national and international organizations. A culture focused on innovation and the development of scientific research. It is important for the leadership of the faculty to organize the effective work of the structural unit responsible for scientific research and publications, and for teachers to build effective cooperation with this unit. For many modern European universities, conducting research and attracting grants is one of the priorities to the formation of a culture focused on innovation is a must.
Thank you.
Have any questions?
Yes, I have one more question. The second one is about what areas of change in the didactic activities of educational institution contribute to the competitiveness and innovative development of educational institution in modern conditions.
І дякую за запитання. Changes in the didactic activity of educational institutions primarily cover the following areas: further development of collaborative learning technologies focused on greater use of interactive technologies, development of e-learning technologies, courses on online platforms, and computer learning, development of student-centered learning, exploring the relationship between organizational culture and the introductions of educational innovations in the field of higher education. 3 typical innovative trends in teaching and learning can be identified: collaborative learning, student-centered learning, and the use of educational technologies. With regard to the use of technology, 2 types of technology can be distinguished: e-learning and machine learning. E-learning reflects the use of an e-learning environment, of course, on online platforms, while collaborative learning emphasizes the use of interactive and collaborative technologies.
Valeria, is satisfied with the answers?
Yes, totally. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so now the floor is given to Ольга Володимирівна Попело, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor of the Department of Management and Civil Service of the Trinity Polytechnic National University.
Thank you. Dear Sandra, I have 2 questions too. In your report, you spoke about various ways of changing the organizational culture to ensure the innovative development of the education institutions. What organizational culture is innovative from your point of view? And then I will the second question.
Дякую за запитання. The formation of an innovative organizational culture can be considered a basic condition for ensuring competitiveness and effective implementation of innovative activities in educational institutions, both in the field of organizational changes and technological ones. Organizational culture stimulates innovative activity in dynamically oriented educational institutions. An innovative organizational culture is one whose core values are acceptance of the need to work in an environment of uncertainty, collaboration, creativity, independence, and the need for achievement and self-respect. Identification, diagnosis, and analysis of these characteristics of innovation organizational culture is the main condition for the current formation. An important role in this process is played by the activities of the management team, which is to develop policies and strategies, as well as management procedures.
Thank you. Satisfied. And the second question, what characteristics describe the effectiveness of organizational culture in the field of human capital formation? What do you think?
Дякую за запитання. As a result of the study, The main characteristics that describe the effectiveness of organizational culture in the field of human capital formation, which are the direction of culture, the penetration of culture and strength of culture, are identified and analyzed. The direction of organizational culture is the course towards which it pushes the staff of the institution and which is modern conditions inextricably linked with such a characteristic of human capital and intelligence. At the same time, intellectual capital is a key factor in ensuring the economic growth of educational institutions. The more team members share the same view of organizational culture, the wider it is, and the depth of this penetration is determined by the number of cultural elements on which team members share a common opinion. The degree of convergence of views on the organizational culture of the members of the team determines the strength of the penetration of culture within the educational institution and is determined by such characteristic features as honesty, openness, fairness, optimization of results, sources of experience, awareness of the need, friendliness, and congeniality.
Ольга Володимирівна, are you satisfied with the answers of the PhD student?
Yes, I'm completely satisfied. Thank you, Sandra.
And dear colleagues, let me, the chairman of the Specialized Academic Council, to ask some questions to our PhD student. Dear Sandra, what are the advantages of your proposed strategy for anti-crisis management of educational institutions?
Дякую за запитання. The advantages of the anti-crisis management strategy for educational institutions is that it provides for the implementation of activities that do not require significant financial resources and is more focused on the use of the existing resource support of educational institutions, the effective use of existing human, intellectual, and social capital. The implementation of this strategy may be appropriate both for educational institutions of the countries of the European Union, which in the current socio-economic conditions are focused on not only with the consequences of a long-term COVID-19 pandemic, but also with the impact of crisis phenomena in the economy and accordingly a decrease in real incomes.
I have two more questions. What aspects of the European strategy for quality assurance in higher education do you consider as the most important?
Дякую за запитання. The thesis analysis is a regular framework that ensures the functioning of higher education quality assurance systems in Austria, Bulgaria, Great Britain, Denmark, Estonia, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, the Netherlands, Poland, Finland, France, Croatia, and Czech Republic. It has been established that the quality of education is an important tool for sustainable development and ensuring the growth of the welfare of universities, which is a social institution that accumulates human capital of the highest quality. The main elements of the European strategy for the sustainable development of higher education are the following interrelated aspects: the concept of a green university, the concept of a smart university, a healthy lifestyle university, the concept of managing social and cultural diversity, the concept of managing historical and cultural heritage. Achieving the goals of these concepts requires special attention on the quality of education.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And one more question. Do you consider such elements as academic integrity and or academic freedom? How important are these elements for the development of the organizational culture of the universities?
Дякую за запитання. I consider these elements to be the most important. It is impossible to form the organizational culture of a modern institution of higher education without academic freedom, which implies the freedom of scientific research, teaching, and the transfer of one's ideas and knowledge. On the other hand, academic freedom necessarily implies responsibility, by which we mean academic conscientiousness. This includes such a complex of ethical principles as honesty, trust, fairness, avoidance of plagiarism, etc. These concepts are the fundamental basis for the activities of a modern university.
Thank you very much. I'm fully satisfied with all your answers. Dear colleagues, dear members of the Specialized Academic Council, do you have any additional questions?
No.
So now we could move on to the discussion of the dissertation of Sandri Ploti, and the floor is given to the reviewer, Doctor of Economics, Professor Natalia Tkalenko, Director of the Educational and Scientific Institute of Management, Food Technologies and Trade of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, I will present only the main points of my review. First of all, the dissertation by Sandri Ploti is highly relevant as it explores theoretical, methodological, and practical aspects of organizational culture development and the improvement of higher educational quality. The dissertation aims to address a significant scientific and applied task and has been conducted in accordance with the research activities plan of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. The scientific positions, conclusions, and recommendations presented in the dissertation are well-grounded, possess profound scientific content, and hold significant value for the advancement of economic science. The obtained scientific results are reliable and based on through theoretical and empirical research. The author has demonstrated adherence to academic integrity and copyright legislation with no instances of academic plagiarism or copyright violations detected. The dissertation includes references to relevant sources and acknowledges the author's personal contribution in co-authored publication. This edition exhibits a high degree of substantiation and credibility. It represents a comprehensive and concluded scientific work. It can be affirmed that the presented dissertation is comprehensive and original and contains invaluable theoretical and applied scientific positions, as well as practical proposals that have been tested and implemented in higher educational institutions. The author has published scientific findings in 10 research papers, including 7 scientific articles. This scientific publication adhered to the requirements stated in paragraph 8.9 of the regulations on the awarding of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The content of the publications and their placement align with the need to reflect the scientific positions presented in the dissertation. In the dissertation, only the author's positions from co-authored scientific works highlighted in the list of publications have been utilized. The most noteworthy scientific results are as follows. First of all, development of a theoretical and methodological approach for evaluation the organizational culture of educational institutions, which identifies key stages. Announcement of the concept of organizational culture as a fundamental element within an organization's internal environment. And third, production of a model for the formation of human capital within the system of interaction with the organizational culture of an educational institution. Their theoretical outcomes of the conducted research have been incorporated in the educational process at Chernihiv Polytechnic National University, particularly in the educational and methodological support of their business organization course. The practical significance of the obtained results lies in the confirmation through practical application. Based on the analysis, no violations of academic integrity have been identified. I would like it highlight one more time. Along the above-mentioned scientific achievements and significant practical developments, the directions does have certain drawbacks, gaps, and areas of discussion. First of all, in our opinion, the author has sufficiently analyzed the essence of the organizational culture phenomenon. However, a clear definition of the components of organizational culture should have been the result of this analysis. Second, large tables such as 1.4, 2.1, and etc. that occupy more than 2 pages could have been included in the appendix of the dissertation. Third, while there is acknowledged the impact of modern digitalization on higher educational institutions, it is equally important to clarify how digital technologies influence organizational values and their role in implementing strategies in the digital economy. Fourth, within the framework of the dissertation, the concept of sustainable development of the university, section 1.3, needs further clarification and expansion. And for fifth, last but not least, the dissertation does not clearly distinguish between organizational culture in private and state higher education institutions. Considering the points mentioned above, a general conclusion can be drawn. First of all, the content of the work and the scientific knowledge presented in it meet the requirements of the specialty 051 economics are specified in the order of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, number 40, dated January 12th, 2017, on approval of the requirements for the preparation of a dissertation with subsequent amendments and the procedure for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and revocation of the design of the one-time specialized academic council of a higher educational institution or research institution and awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by the resolution of the Cabinet of Ministry of Ukraine number 44, dated January 12, 2022. The above allows us to conclude that the author, Sandri Ploti, of the dissertation deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty of economics. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia Valerievna. Dear PhD student, now you have the opportunity to respond to the comments expressed by the reviewer.
Дякую. Dear reviewer, Professor Natalia Tkalenko, I thank you for your attention to my dissertation work, as well as for constructive comments and recommendations. Regarding the remark about the impact of digital technologies on the activities of educational institutions, it should be noted that in the dissertation we paid attention to this issue in a general context. However, the process of digitalization itself is not the object of our study, so we have not deeply investigated this process and its manifestations in the educational sphere. The desire to expand the concept of sustainable development of the university is also very valuable. This is a very interesting problem, and we will definitely work on it in the future. Thank you, dear Natalia Tkalenko.
Are you satisfied with that?
Thank you. I agree with your comments. Thank you very much, Sandra.
So now the floor is given to the second reviewer, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor Olga Popelo, Professor of the Department of Management and Civil Service of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, the review in accordance with the established requirements is presented on the website of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. Therefore, with your permission, I will focus on the main points of the review. Based on the dissertation and scientific works published on the research topic, as well as materials on the approbation and practical implementation of the results of the scientific research carried out by Sandri Ploti, I want to emphasize the relevance of the research topic, the high degree of validity of scientific provisions, conclusions, and recommendations, the reliability and scientific novelty of the obtained results, and confirm the completeness of their presentation in scientific publication. Regarding the adherence to norms of academic integrity, the author adhered to academic integrity and the norms of copyright legislation, violations of which, as well as academic plagiarism, were not detected. In the dissertation work, there are references to the relevant sources indicated in the list of used sources. The personal contribution of the author in the published scientific works is determined in co-authorship. Regarding some comments on the individual contradictions and some moments that can serve as the basis of discussion during the defense of the dissertation, I can say that in general, while positively evaluating the scientific and practical development of the dissertation research by Sandri Ploti, the work is not without certain shortcomings and debatable points. The first one, in figure 1.3, the dissertation student presents a model of human capital formation in the system of interaction with the organizational culture of the educational institution. The model is formed based on the materials of the author's research, but it isn't specified exactly what research it is about and where its results are highlighted. Also, in this figure, the tools of the organizational culture, higher education, social investment, physical and moral education, information provision, professional training, science and innovation, are outlined, however, according to the text of the dissertation in Chapter 1, in our opinion, these tools and methods, directions, conditions of their use are not sufficient. The second one is that, in our opinion, considering in a sub-paragraph 1.3, the system of ensuring the quality of higher education and its importance for sustainable development of universities, it would be advisable to pay more attention to the analysis of the content and features of the sustainable development concept. The third one, in subparagraph 2.2, table 2.4, the author describes the system of indicators for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions and notes that 36 expert scientists from educational and social labor issues were involved to determine the specific weight of these indicators. But in our opinion, it would be appropriate to detail the information about the invited experts. The fourth one is that we believe that in the dissertation, Chapter 2, it would be worthwhile to more clearly characterize the criteria by which the applicant choose educational institutions of different countries to conduct an empirical study of their organizational culture. The fifth, in Chapter 3, Table 3.1, the dissertation also cites the main factors influencing the activities of educational institutions in modern conditions, among which she singles out the factors of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. We consider it debatable to assign an average level of influence to such factors. The sixth, in our opinion, the set of directions for changing the organizational culture to ensure competitiveness and innovative development of educational institutions, table 3.3, should be supplemented with a group of directions for transformations in the field of international activities of university. This is justified by the growing internationalization and globalization of the educational sphere, which affects the process of formation of competitive advantages of higher education institutions, as well as stimulates their innovative activity. And the last one, the seventh, in subparagraph 3.3, we believe that it would be appropriate to propose an organizational economic mechanism for the transformation of organization culture in the context of ensuring the competitiveness and innovative development of the higher education system, taking into account modern social economic challenges. However, the given remarks are mostly of a debatable nature and do not reduce the overall positive assessment of the theoretical and practical value of the dissertation work, and the general conclusions and evaluation of the dissertation. The dissertation work of Sandri Ploti, Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement, is a complete integral scientific study carried out on the urgent topic, contains provisions of scientific novelty, and has theoretical and practical significance. The dissertation was produced in accordance with the requirements of the order of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine on approval of requirements for the preparation of dissertation. The dissertation development of organization culture in the system of higher education quality improvement corresponds to the specialty 051 economics in terms of the form and content meets the requirements set forth in the procedure of awarding the degree of the Doctor of Philosophy and revoking the dissertation of the one-time specialized academic council of the higher education institution, scientific institution, and on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy approved by the resolution number 44 of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine dated the 12th of January 2022. Sandri Ploti, the author of the dissertation, Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement, deserves to be awarded the degree of the Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 051 Economics. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Olga Volodymyrівна. Sandri Ploti, now you have the opportunity to respond on the reviewers' comments. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear reviewer, Professor Olga Popelo, first of all, I want to express my gratitude for the attention paid to my dissertation work, as well as for constructive comments and recommendations. Indeed, the dissertation presents the results obtained after processing a large amount of data from an empirical study, so not all issues are covered in detail. We tried to present the results in such a way as not to violate the general requirements for the volume of the entire work. We agree with the rest of the comments and will definitely take them into account in our future work. Thank you, Olga, so much for reviewing my thesis.
Olga Volodymyrівna, are you satisfied with the answers?
Yes, thank you, fully satisfied.
Fine. So now the floor is given to the official opponent, Doctor of Economics, Professor Olena Antonівна Грішнова, Professor of the Department of Enterprise Economics of Taras Shevchenko National University of Kyiv.
Thank you. Dear members of Academic Council, thank you for the honor of presenting such relevant and interesting scientific work. I read the work carefully, wrote a detailed review, and was published on time on the university's website. Therefore, now I will only briefly summarize my impressions and voice my remarks. The relevance of the topic of the dissertation is due to the growing role of organization culture in conditions of total instability. The work, as it should be, is related to the scientific programs of National University's Chernihiv Polytechnic. Scientific provisions, conclusion, and recommendation are reliable and new. They are of essential importance for the science and practice of management. They are also well and fully reflected in the works published by the author. While positive evaluation of the dissertation, it is necessary to note the following remarks. The paper, page 48, presents an interesting and significant model of human capital formation in the system of interaction with the organization culture. This model can be developed in the future works of the author with the selection of direction for the development of human capital of university employees and students. However, it needs to be explained what are the advantages of this model and the possibilities of using it in the practice of educational institutions. Second, the most important result of the research is the development of the methodology of evaluation, the organization culture of an education institution. However, it requires development and explanation on the basis of which criteria and according to which principle the selections of indicators was made to form a system of specific indicators. Third, for the empirical study of the organization culture of higher education institutions, page 88, educational institutions of Latvia, Latvian University, ISMA University, Latvian College of Culture, Ukraine, Taras Shevchenko, Kyiv National University, Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, Ivan Franko, Lviv National University, and Poland, Jagiellonian University, Warsaw University, Adam Mickiewicz University were selected. However, it's not explained on the basis of which criteria these countries and these educational institutions were chosen for research. 4. On the page 124, present the main factors affecting the activity of educational institution in modern conditions. The strongest shock was the COVID pandemic, and in Ukraine, the war was even greater. However, the work does not describe in detail how the COVID pandemic and the war affect the development of organization culture of educational institutions. 5. The paper proposes a scientific and methodical approach to determine the factors affecting the activity of educational institutions in modern conditions. However, it's not argued what criteria were used to select such factors as priority factors that have the greatest impact on the activities of educational institutions. The mentioned comments are, whilst reflect my personal scientific position and don't reduce the overall positive evaluation of the work. Sandri Ploti's dissertation meets Ukrainian and international standards of scientific works and principles of academic integrity. General conclusion. Sandri Ploti dissertation is an independently completed research work. Given the above, I believe that the dissertation development of organizational culture in the system of higher education quality improving according to the main scientific provisions and conclusions meets the current requirements and its authors, Sandri Ploti, deserves to be awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy on specialty 051 economics. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena Antonina. Sandra Ploti, now you have a possibility to respond to the comments of the official opponent.
Дякую. Dear Professor Elena Grishnova, thank you for your attention, kindness, and advice on further research. I agree with the comments, but I would like to explain some of them. First remark about the advantages of our model of human capital formation in the system of organizational culture of an educational institution and the possibility of using it in practice. The proposed model helps managers to analyze the existing and missing elements, connections, identify the strengths and weaknesses of the organizational culture. The model can be used to determine what changes will contribute to the development of organizational culture and can be implemented in practice. The model determines the effectiveness of the formation and use of human capital in order to achieve the economic and social goals of the educational institutions. Regarding the second remark, the development of a methodology for assisting the organizational culture of educational institutions. The proposed system of indicators covers 3 blocks of indicators. First, the quality of educational service as an integral performance indicator. Second, the main elements of organizational culture, and the third, sustainability of development and adaptation to changes in the external environment. The composition of the indicators and the weight of the constituent elements were determined on the basis of their own extensive experience in educational institutions and with the involvement of 36 experts from Latvia, Ukraine, and Poland. Concerning the fifth remark about the scientific and methodological approach proposed by us to determine the factors influencing the activities of educational institutions in modern conditions. The criteria for choosing factors was the strength of their influence on the organizational culture and all activities of educational institutions. The main factors were identified: epidemic threats, Russia's war against Ukraine, globalization of the educational services market, intellectualization of the labor market and digitalization, expansion of opportunities for remote employment. These factors have become the basis for the classification of challenges and threats affecting the activities of educational institutions in today's complex environment. I agree with other comments and will take them into account in future work. Once again, sincere thanks.
Elena Antonina, are you satisfied with the answers?
Yes, I'm satisfied.
Thank you. So now the floor is given to the official opponent, Doctor of Economics, Professor Irina Sergeyevna Kalinyuk, Director of the Research Institute of Economic Development of Kyiv National Economic University, named after Vadim Hetman.
Dear members of Specialized Academic Council, first of all, I want to thank you for the invitation to act as an opponent in defense on such an interesting dissertation. I gave my full review to the materials of the Specialized Academic Council. It was published on the website of the university. In my speech, I would like to outline some of the most important issues. The relevance of the study of organizational culture in educational institutions is related to the fact that organizational culture acts as an important factor in improving the quality of higher education, ensuring stability, sustainable development, and effectiveness of the work of educational institution in complex and changing modern conditions. The dissertation work was carried out in accordance with the research plan of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. Better reliability of obtained conclusions and the validity of proposed recommendations are determined by correctly selected methodological approaches, general, specific, and special. The novelty of the author's approaches is to solving the task of increasing the effectiveness of managing the development of the organizational culture of educational institutions in the conditions of modern challenges. The results of the dissertation work are characterized by a high level of scientific novelty, and Sandri Plotti's dissertation complies with the regulations on the training of higher education candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Science in postgraduate and doctoral studies of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University and the Code of Academic Integrity of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. The practical significance of obtained results lies in the substantiation of conclusions regarding the improvement, development, and implementation of measures in the direction of the development of organizational culture in the system of improving of quality of higher education, which can be used in the process of forming and implementing the state educational policy of Ukraine. The main results of dissertation work were published by the ASO in 10 scientific works. In the dissertation work, references to sources of information regarding the used statements, information, statistical data ads are properly given. Violations of academic integrity in the presented text of dissertation and scientific publications highlighting the main results of the study were not detected. It should be noted that despite the positive scientific results obtained by ASO in the course of the research, the work is not without debatable clauses and individual remarks, among which the following should be noted. The first, the work, paragraph 1.3, analyzes the regulatory framework that regulates the functioning of higher education quality assurance systems in various European countries, but it is not determined which aspects of European strategy for higher education quality assurance can be implemented in Ukraine to improve the quality of educational services in the context of European integration. 2 points. The work offers the scale for evaluating the dynamics of the integral index for evaluating the organizational culture of educational institutions and its partial indexes, page 87. But it's not explained why exactly such levels of the index for evaluating the organizational culture are defined, for example, as high, medium, low. The approach underlying the choice of such an evaluation scale requires explanation. 3 points. The work identifies reserves for the development of the organizational culture of European educational institutions, pages 107, 108. But it not substantiate which of them are priorities for implementation in the studied educational institutions. 4 points. It is positive that the work defines directions for changing the organizational culture to ensure innovative development of educational institutions, page 162. However, it needs a more detailed explanation which organizational culture is innovative from the author's point of view, and what directions of increasing the level of his innovativeness can be identified in modern conditions, in particular for the new universities under study. And point 5. The most important factor in the competitiveness of modern university is the significant results of scientific activity. The work highlights directions for changing organizational culture to ensure competitiveness and innovative development of educational institutions. It's also necessary to characterize changes in the field of scientific activity of educational institutions, which are necessary to increase their competitiveness in the conditions of modern threat and challenges. General conclusions. Dissertation work of Sandri Ploti on the topic development of organizational culture in the system of improving of quality of higher education, presented for obtaining the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty Economics 051, 05 Social and Behavioral Sciences, is completed scientific work, and it's important in the context of improving the quality of higher education and its role in the social development. The research solves an actual scientific and practical task which consists in increasing the effectiveness of managing the development of organizational culture of educational institutions in the conditions of modern challenges. We obtained new solutions to the scientific and practical task. The relevance, novelty, practical significance, and completeness of research deserve a positive assessment. The mentioned comments to the dissertation work do not reduce the significance of scientific and practical results obtained in the work and confirm its positive assessment. The content of the dissertation, the obtained main scientific provisions and conclusions correspond to specialty 051 Economics. The work meets the requirements, the procedure for training of higher education applicants for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Science in institutions of higher education, scientific institutions, approved by resolution of Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, date March 23, 2016, number 261, with amendments and additions date April 3, 2019, number 2, and the requirements of the procedure of awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and the cancellation of the decision of a one-time specialized scientist for the sake of higher education institution, scientific institution, on awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, approved by a resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dates January 12, 2022, number 44, as amended from March 21, 2022, number 341, and its author, Sandri Ploti, deserves to be awarded the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Specialty Economics.
Thank you, Irina Sofyevna. Dear PhD students, you have the possibility to respond to the comments of the official opponent. The floor is yours.
Дякую. Dear Professor Irina Kaleniuk, thank you for your attention, kindness, and comments. I agree with the comments. I have already answered some of them during the scientific discussion, and I will give a short explanation to the rest. According to the first remark regarding what aspects of the European strategy for ensuring the quality of higher education can be implemented in Ukraine in the context of European integration. I want to say that during the pre-defense, I learned more about the work of this and other leading universities in Ukraine. I can highlight not only reserves, but also strengths. However, a note about reserves. Here it is necessary to name modern strategies that are popular in Europe, but are still poorly used in Ukraine. These are strategies: green university, smart university, healthy lifestyle university, social and cultural diversity, management of historical and cultural heritage, etc. According to the fourth remark about the directions of increasing the level of innovativeness of organizational culture in modern conditions, we will first of all single out the following in the field of management: the implementation of a business organization model that stimulates scientific creativity, increasing the autonomy of university teachers in the implementation of didactic and scientific activities, creation of an organizational environment conducive to attracting grants from national and international organizations, creation of a structural unit to assist teachers in obtaining grants, improving the culture and motivation of employees for scientific activities focused on innovation, development of learning technologies with greater use of interactive technologies, development of student-centered learning, etc. Dear Professor, I agree with other comments and I will take them into account in future work. Once again, sincere thanks.
Ірина Сергіївна, are you satisfied with the answers?
I am fully satisfied.
All right. Thank you. За регламентом роботи спеціалізованої вченої ради переходимо до дискусії по дисертаційній роботі Плота Сандри. Наголошую на тому, що в дискусії мають право участь взяти всі присутні члени спеціалізованої вченої ради. В кінці прошу відмітити, як ви будете голосувати позитивно чи негативно за присудження ступеня доктора філософії Плота Сандрі за захист її дисертаційної роботи. According to the rules of the work of the Specialized Academic Council, we proceed to the discussion on Sandri Ploti's dissertation. I emphasize that all members of the Specialized Academic Council have the right to participate in the discussion. And also, I ask you to note how you will vote, positively or negatively, for awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Plota Sandra for the defense of her dissertation. Шановні колеги, хто бажає виступити? Наталія Валерівна, the floor is given to the reviewer, Doctor of Economics, Professor Наталія Валерівна Ткаленко.
Thank you, Natalia Ivanovna. The pursuit of quality enhancement in higher education has become increasingly important in today's competitive and rapidly evolving world. One crucial aspect that plays a significant role in achieving this goal is, of course, the development of organizational culture within educational institutions. The development of a strong organizational culture has a direct impact on quality, of course. A positive culture promotes a student-centric approach, where the focus is on providing high-quality education, supporting student success, and fostering a sense of community. And of course, I support the PhD student and will work in favor of granting Sandri Ploti the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Economics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Наталія Валерівна. Now the floor is given to the official reviewer, Ольга Володимирівна Попела, Doctor of Economics, Associate Professor.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, first of all, I want to note that the topic of the research was chosen very successfully and in a timely manner. The dissertation is relevant. This is the merit of both the applicant Sandri Ploti and the scientific supervisor Victoria Margasova. Sandri Ploti's dissertation is a complete, self-executed, and logically constructed scientific work. The tasks set in the dissertation have been fulfilled, and the goal of the researcher has been achieved. Personal scientific works and works published in professional publications contain the scientific provisions of the dissertation presented for the defense. The research results are tested and implemented in business practice and the educational process. Taking into account the above mentioned, I can state that the main requirements for the acquisition of competencies have been met, and the dissertation meets the established requirements, and the author Sandri Ploti deserves to be awarded to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 05, Social and Behavioral Sciences, specialty of 5.1, Economics. I support the dissertation and wish Sandri Ploti success in further scientific research. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga Volodymyrівна. Now the floor is given to the official opponent, Doctor of Economics, Professor Olena Antonівna Grishnova. Microphone. Microphone. Olena Antonівna, turn on your microphone.
Dear scientific colleagues, the dissertation defense and all presentation confirm the high quality of the work, completeness with the requirements and the principles of academic integrity. I want to draw attention on the significance of the main results and the oath for the research directions. First, the study is one of the earliest ones to test the supposed organization culture value in the context of strategies of competitiveness. Second, the study also explores the possibility of treating culture with several subgroups. I believe that the study of subcultures will help to study this phenomenon more deeply. Third, the study also has implication for the companies. Employees, managers, and supervisors can take help from the findings of this research and focus on both organization culture as well as team culture to motivate their employees toward innovative development. I support this thesis. I will vote for. Thank you.
Thank you, Olena Antonівna. And now the floor is given to the official opponent, Doctor of Economics, Professor Irina Sergeyevna.
Dear colleagues, in my opinion, the topic of the organizational culture of the university is extremely important in modern conditions. Accelerated intellectualization, the formation of a smart economy, the formation of sustainable character of social development. All these factors determine the growth of the role of intellectual and human resources. The institution of higher education acts as an institute in which intellectual resources are concentrated. That's why it's very important that their internal structure and management system aim the staff at high standards of activity, progressive social goals and values. But it's a very complex problem since the organizational culture of a higher education institution is influenced by many factors, both internal and external. To clearly define them, to rank them, to evaluate them is a question that requires considerable research. In the presented thesis, there is a very interesting approach, which will certainly enrich modern economic science. However, in my opinion, there is still a lot of space for future research in this issue. Therefore, I wish our author not to stop and continue his developments. In general, I highly appreciate the obtained results, support the work, and will vote positively for awarding the author, Sandri Ploti, the scientific degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Thank you, Irina Sergeyevna. Dear colleagues, with your permission, I will express my personal point of view on the dissertation and obtained results by Sandri Ploti. First of all, I want to note that I fully support the positive feedback expressed by my colleagues. And I also would like to note the relevance and necessity of Sandri Ploti's dissertation, especially in current conditions of martial time and the further post-war recovery of the national higher education system of Ukraine and of the Ukrainian higher educational institutions. The dissertation is an original, independent, and completed scientific work which deals with the current issues and contains original approaches to solving theoretical and practical tasks to develop the organizational culture of the higher educational institutions in the current conditions of war in Ukraine, of post-pandemic period, of internalization, globalization, and digitalization of educational and scientific area. Valuable from the scientific point of view are the following achievements of the PhD students: systemized scientific approaches to the essence and specific functions of the organizational culture, the identified scientific and applied principles of transformation of organizational culture to ensure the competitiveness and innovative development of higher educational system and the higher educational institutions in particular. Also, they develop scientific and methodical approaches to determine the factors affecting the activities of educational institutions in current conditions. The main provisions, conclusions, and recommendations of their dissertation contain elements of scientific novelty. They are argued and received their approval on scientific and practical conferences. The two-day speech of the PhD student and her answers on the questions of the members of the specialized academic council testify the high level of her awareness with the chosen research topic. Their dissertation meets the all established requirements. It has practical value, contains the scientific novelty, emphasizing the high level of practical value and theoretical value of the dissertation and obtained research results. I will vote in favor for the awarding the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for the PhD student Sandri Ploti. Thank you for your attention. And now, dear colleagues, we need to give the floor to the scientific supervisor of the dissertation, Doctor of Economics, Professor Victoria Ignatievna Murhasova. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, dear Natalia, dear chaplain, dear members, dear colleagues of the specialized one-time academic council. Thank you for the opportunity to present our dissertation results to such a highly respected and professional scientific council, and for the time you have given us to familiarize ourselves with the work. Sandri Ploti's speech itself proves the relevance of the work. Should that we are looking at an experienced, well-established scientist who skillfully operates with teams and knows the methods of scientific research. First of all, it should be noted that the dissertation is extremely relevant, and this is first of all achievement of the applicant herself. The topic of the dissertation was chosen in a timely and successful manner. Sandra's book contains scientific knowledge, practical implementation of the proposed measures, and both theoretical and practical components. The work is complete. Of course, we have seen a fairly confident defense of Sandri Ploti's dissertation, which fully meets the requirements for such works. The work contains many theoretical and methodological foundations for the development of higher education. It is clear that Sandra has her own confident opinion regarding the assessment and analysis of the current state of development of higher education in Ukraine and in Europe, with the identification of areas for its activation in terms of organization culture. The conclusions, the scientifically substantiated at a high level and concise which the task set. The author has a sufficient number of publications and tests which indicates professionalism. The work is very interesting, meets all the requirements, and the applicant deserves to the awarded the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 05 Social and Behavioral Science in the specialist 051 Economics. Thank you so much, dear colleagues.
Thank you, Victoria Геннадівна. If there are no objections, I propose to end the discussion. Якщо немає заперечень, пропоную завершити дискусію. Шановні колеги, нами було попередньо розроблено проект рішення спеціалізованої вченої ради, дозвольте його зачитати. Спеціалізована вчена рада ДФ1 2023 Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка, Міністерства освіти і науки України, місто Чернігів прийняла рішення про присудження ступеня доктора філософії Плота Сандри з галузі знань 05 соціальні та поведінкові науки на підставі прилюдного захисту дисертації на тему розвиток організаційної культури у системі підвищення якості вищої освіти за спеціальністю 051 економіка. Плота Сандра народилася 3 лютого 1960 року у місті Єлгава, громадянка Латвійської Республіки, освіта вища. Закінчила у 2004 році Латвійський університет за спеціальністю педагогіка та здобула кваліфікацію магістра з педагогічних наук. Із жовтня 2022 року навчається в аспірантурі за заочною формою здобуття вищої освіти у Національному університеті Чернігівська політехніка, Міністерства освіти і науки України за спеціальністю 051 економіка. Дисертацію виконано в Національному університеті Чернігівська політехніка. Науковий керівник Маргасова Вікторія Геннадівна, доктор економічних наук, професор, проректор з наукової роботи Національного університету Чернігівська політехніка. Здобувач має 10 наукових публікацій за темою дисертації, з них 2 статті у виданнях, що входять до наукометричної бази Scopus, 2 статті у фахових журналах України, 3 статті у зарубіжних спеціалізованих виданнях, 3 публікації в матеріалах наукових конференцій. Dear colleagues, just a few minutes to translate it in English. We have previously developed the draft of the decision of the Specialized Academic Council, and now I will read it briefly. Specialized Academic Council, dear Fund 2023 of Chernihiv Polytechnic National University of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, Chernihiv, has made the decision to award the degree of Doctor of Philosophy to Plota Sandra in the field of knowledge 05 Social and Behavioral Sciences on the basis of the public defense of the dissertation on the topic Development of Organizational Culture in the System of Higher Education Quality Improvement in the specialty 05 Fund Economics. Plota Sandra was born on February 3rd, 1960 in the city of Jelgava, citizen of the Republic of Latvia, has a master's degree. Graduated from the University of Latvia in 2004 with the specialty pedagogy and obtained a master's degree in the pedagogical sciences. From October 2022, she has been studying part-time postgraduate studies at the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, specialty 05 Fund Economics. The dissertation has been completed at the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. Scientific supervisor Victoria Marhasova, Doctor of Economics, Professor, Vice Rector for Scientific Work of the Chernihiv Polytechnic National University. The PhD student has 10 scientific publications on the topic of the dissertation, of which 2 articles are in journals included in the Scopus Scientific database. 2 articles are in Ukrainian professional journals, 3 articles are in foreign specialized journals, and 3 publications are in the proceedings of the scientific conferences. Now we proceed to the open voting procedure. Шановні колеги, переходимо до процедури відкритого голосування. Прошу членів спеціалізованої вченої ради проголосувати і озвучити рішення щодо присудження Плота Сандрі ступеня доктора філософії зі спеціальності 051 економіка. I ask the members of the Specialized Academic Council to vote and to announce the decision regarding the awarding of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the specialty 051 Economics to Plota Sandri. Let me begin. Дозвольте мені розпочати. I vote in favor. Я голосую за. Наталія Валеріївна.
Yeah, the same, I vote in favor. Я голосую за.
Ольга Володимирівна.
I support and vote за. Голосую за.
Ірина Сергіївна. Мікрофон. Включіть, будь ласка, мікрофон.
I vote за.
Thank you. Олена Антонівна.
I vote for, я голосую за.
Thank you. So 5 members of the Specialized Academic Council in favor. There are no against and no abstain. Тож, за 5 членів спеціалізованої вченої ради, проти немає, утримались немає. На підставі результатів відкритого голосування спеціалізована вчена рада ДФ-1-2023 присуджує Плота Сандрі ступінь доктора філософії з галузі знань 05 соціальні та поведінкові науки за спеціальністю 051 економіка. Based on the results of the open voting, the Specialized Academic Council DF1 2023 awards the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in the field of knowledge 05 Social and Behavioral Sciences in the specialty 051 Economics to Plota Sandra. Are there any comments to the decision of the Specialized Academic Council? Чи є будь-які зауваження до рішення спеціалізованої вченої ради? Наголошую, немає. Наголошую на тому, що є всі підписи в реєстраційній карті, а хто присутні онлайн, постійно присутні були на засіданні. I emphasize that all signatures are in the registration card, and those members who are online, they were always present at the meeting. Дозвольте привітати Плота Сандру з успішним захистом дисертації. Dear Sandra Ploti, allow me to congratulate you. I wish you success and further scientific achievements. Dear colleagues, now we want to give the floor to Sandra Ploti. Please, we want to hear your...
Дякую. Dear professors, thank you very much for your attention to my thesis. First of all, I would like to express sincerely regards to my supervisor, Professor Victoria Margasova, for her commitment and consistent work. I do appreciate comments and remarks I received today from Olga Popelo, Natalia Tkalenko, Olena Grishnova, and Irina Kaleniuk. All questions were valuable. For me, it's a big honor to cooperate with so professional and qualified scientists. I will implement all discussed points into my further research. For me personally, very remarkable and impressive that Ukrainian scientists, Ukrainian researchers, and Ukrainian science in general continue their work even in such terrible conditions that Ukraine exists now on such high level. Me and my colleagues do appreciate that, and we wish you and your country peace and prosperity. Thank you very much again. All the best and new achievements for all. Дякую. Thank you for your attention.
Дякуємо вам. At this point, the meeting of the Specialized Academic Council Dear Fund 2023 is considered closed. Thank you all for your work. Шановні колеги, на цьому засідання спеціалізованої вченої ради ДФ1 2023 вважається закритим. Дякую всім щиро за роботу. До побачення.
Дякуємо.
Дякую.